Well, hello, audience at home, at your various homes, and welcome to IGN News Live. We rehearsed it so many times. I'm Michael Swaim. This is our chat show where we talk about the latest news in gaming, pop culture, and so much, much more. Joining me today, representing the news editorial side of the equation, Mr. Jonathan Dornbush.
Beyond.
Exactly, as he needed to say before we can move on.
It's all he could say.
It's you pull a string on his back and it just goes.
Whenever I'm introed, it just happens. I can't help it.
I see.
And our social pal with his finger firmly on the pulse, Mr. Josh Dew.
What's up?
Your pal Jeremy's also here.
Hi, it's me, your pal Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy.
Nice to see you all again.
It's good to see you guys. Yeah, a lot of people were posting in the Slack that they miss being at the office. I'm someone who's worked from home the bulk of my life, so I didn't at all. I was like, you're all crazy. I don't have kids yet. But today it hit. I miss being in the office and like seeing you guys and sharing your air, which would be unadvisable right now. But normally I love it.
I just want to get out of the house. Like I want to sneak into the office and just lie down on the floor and do floor angels.
Play that Pong machine alone in the darkened office. Yeah. And I mean, hopefully if this show picks up more steam, one of us can afford to paint their walls something other than white. So I think that's
I'm renting, so I can't.
Okay, all right.
Unlikely.
But hey, let's dive into it, huh? As you may have guessed from the title, if you clicked on this in some fashion and didn't just stumble in here, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is reportedly getting a remaster that drops tomorrow. Eurogamer reports, which is amazing. I'm going to immediately, because it's so newsy news, go to Mr. Dornbush. Do we have our own independent confirmation of these facts? What do we know about this?
So we've been looking into it, and we don't have our own sources that I can speak to at length about it, but everything throughout the day has kind of pointed more and more likely that it's going to happen, not just the fact that other sites are reporting this, but trailers have leaked, images have leaked, the trophy list has leaked, and whenever trophies leak, that means a game is pretty much just about to be published.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a safe bet that even if it doesn't end up being tomorrow for whatever reason, there is something ready to go on the PSN and Xbox.
Yeah,
I'd expect this to happen, if not tomorrow, pretty shortly after.
Well, it's interesting in the wake of Warzone dropping that they're hitting again so quickly, and then they kept it so close to the vest. I think that's probably a pretty smart strategy these days.
Yeah, I mean, the surprise drop, we all saw it happen with Apex Legends, and I think everyone's been trying to recapture that
worked
magic.
out.
It worked out for Apex, and I think it worked out for Warzone. You know, they've been hitting millions and millions of players. And even if some people have issues with bits of the gameplay, like it seems to be that there's a really big dedicated fan base for it who is enjoying it and having a lot of great time for it. So I totally see this makes sense, especially as they're focused on the Modern Warfare multiplayer and the Warzone multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
These surprise drops help bring attention to something as strange as it is.
Although in our piece by the wonderful Matt Purslow, which you can find on the site right now, we report that it seems pretty clear that the multiplayer component is actually not going to be remastered, or it will be. The multiplayer maps will be remastered, but that will become part of, the recent one. Sorry, I think it's just called Modern Warfare again. The one that you bought in chunks, the multiplayer component of that will get those maps.
It's not Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare or Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, which took off the 4. It's just Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
No, I think it makes sense from a logistics level. I mean, I have no idea how much it costs to keep these games going on the back end, but to further split your multiplayer base and to have more logistical stuff to worry about on the back end with another multiplayer suite, if they were to put out this remaster separately, more confusion and to more errors. Whereas if you can put that into the existing thing that already has a fan base already playing, maybe you charge them more money through other means by giving them maps free and then, going for cosmetics and whatnot. But it makes sense to keep the multiplayer with what is already the most active multiplayer base.
Yeah. So they're only remastering the single player campaign. Although if you forget which is which, this is the one that contained the very controversial mission No Russian and is loosely based on, or shares some story beats with Red Dawn, where like Russia comes and takes over the suburbs. It's that one, if you remember playing that one, and that's a very good single player campaign, arguably one of the best in the series. So I'll be seeing it. I'll be checking it out, seeing how spruced up it is. Josh, as our social person, like, do you see this strategy working out? Are people really hyped about this sudden like treat just dropping in from the sky?
Yeah, it was one of our top performing posts
Nice.
on social channels. Yeah, and it's because it's such a surprise announcement sort of thing. I think people are kind of pleasantly surprised. I don't know if they'll be as happy when they find out it's a single player only campaign, because that game I think is a little more renowned for its multiplayer stuff. But I'm also curious as to have they announced like a price for this yet? Well, they haven't announced anything technically, but do we have any word on price?
They've announced the price. They just haven't announced that it's coming out.
Give us $39.99. We'll explain later.
Yeah.
My guess
what is
would be
the price?
20, but
we don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of speculation in IGN comments. People saying that there's no way that they would pay full game price for this, hoping it'll be 20 or 30. And I mean, that's fair. Popsicle Plus on IGN.com says if they put any significant amount of work into it, they would have been showing it off for a long time now. I don't know enough of the intricacies to know if that's a valid hypothesis or not, but I did see a few comments saying that like the last time they remastered one of these games, it felt more like a coat of paint and sort of like a new edition than something deeper we've seen like FF7 Remake, obviously, or Resident Evil 3. It could be, there's a lot of speculation, at least on our site, that it will be more of a surface level remaster. Like, don't get your hopes up for some epic rethinking of any aspect of it.
I think the Modern Warfare original remaster is a good, starting point to set your expectations of what this will be. And that's why I think $20, especially for just the single player, is probably what it's going to lean to. Hey, if it's only $10, that's great. I would be more likely to probably pick it up right now because there are so many other big games coming out at this moment. But I think setting your expectations for that sort of remaster, there's obviously been no preview beats. This is not a thing they've been setting up expectations for a year. And so I think you are likely to see something along those remastered line. Not that that's bad. It's, if people love that campaign, it's a great way to re-explore it before the generation ends.
Yeah, just looking at like what's to come in the show, today was like somehow just news of remasters day. And I'm wondering if anyone on today has a strong opinion about, is there any special reason we're suddenly like, is it the shifting environment because of quarantine situations, or is I think it just the popularity of recent remasters? Like, why?
Yeah,
today,
it's like
we have like 5.
It pays off, frankly, right? Like they've seen a bunch of remasters recently that have done really well, or just sort of like reboots or remakes. In this instance, I think for Modern Warfare in particular, it makes a lot of sense because there were at one point the multiplayer and the single player were both seen as very important, and over time, obviously, Call of Duty has like kind of shifted into like a very, very, very multiplayer first game, to the degree that we now have stuff like Warzone that's like fully multiplayer. There's still like a nostalgia for those old single player campaigns, and a lot of them are only like 10 hours long or something like that. And you take somebody like me who played all of those games back in the day. Like, I would be interested in paying $15 or $20. Maybe like $24.99 is about the max that I would pay for something like that. But I would like to revisit those with the modern assets that exist in the more recent games, because the more recent games, they look beautiful, and a lot of the assets that they use as far as like puppeteering and rigging the animations and all of that stuff, and I could see those being at least used as the skeleton upon which they would build a remaster or a remake. And so it could be a really cool experience to see what those games that were so impactful. I'm talking about the single player, storytelling wise and character development wise, like with that fresh new coat of paint. I think people are really interested in that. So it's really a nostalgia play, and it's the same thing that we're seeing in movies, the same thing that we're seeing in TV shows. Nostalgia sells. Why not do it? And in the case of a Call of Duty in particular, they can kind of have it both ways. They can have that AAA single player market, at least a piece of it, while they also keep doing this multiplayer thing. And nothing is stopping them from remastering the maps and modes from those older games and just releasing them as packs for these newer games if that's a direction they want to head in. They could totally go like a Fortnite Apex route with this if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's bringing up the whole movies thing, which I found really interesting. And it's like, I think the main difference here is like with video game remakes and reboots, I think there's a lot more value being added when these things are being remade as opposed to like, the Avatar: The Last Airbender coming out as a live action series. It's like we already got an animated show and it was pretty great. It's like, how much more does a live action version make or add to it? But with like these video game remakes, I think, they're a nostalgia play, but at the same time, I think they also do enough to kind of keep them relevant as well. Like going back and playing like the PS2 Shadow of the Colossus, which I did before the remake came out. I was like, this is nice, but it's like the grandness of scale and like the beauty of the graphics doesn't really hit as hard nowadays. So when they remake it, it's like, oh, okay, this is the feeling that people had when this game first came out.
And that go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as a consumer, why I keep being so willing to buy remakes and remasters, it's not just nostalgia for me, it's also a like preservation-y sort of thing this generation, because at the end of the day, generations really haven't been backward compatible to the extent that we're going to be going into next generation. So if I can carry some of my favorite games from older gens forward, especially on the PlayStation side, as someone who predominantly plays on PS4, if I know that a game I loved that was remastered for PS4 will still be available on PS5, that's great, knowing that I don't have to maybe buy a second remaster down the line.
Definitely. And it's interesting because gaming is such a young medium compared to film and television. It might be true that we have just sort of reached or we're now in the thick of, but in our lifetimes, we reached the length of time necessary for a nostalgia cycle to be marketable. There's now enough history of video games that we're going to start going back and revitalizing and sort of doing that archival process. I do think it shows off the further back you go, which is why I got to say, I would love to see Call of Duty 2 fully remastered, because I just think I loved Call of Duty 2, and the gulf is so much wider that seeing it in modern context would be baller.
I think the creation process is a little different for gaming than it is for these other forms of media too, right? Like you don't have the number one like S tier A team working on at Activision or Treyarch or something on these remasters. These are like probably smaller, different groups, and so in a way it's like creating more jobs. It's not really taking away from anything else. It's allowing you to experience with younger people or newer gamers titles that you might not have otherwise had a connection over, and it's bringing us SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom remastered. So don't act like you guys haven't pre-ordered that, right? Like
rehydrated.
This is what's up. If we're not going to get like a AAA new SpongeBob game, let's get like a really nice remaster of the classic.
Which is madness that they're not doing that, but I'll take rehydrated for now.
All right, since we got so many remasters to cover, speaking of, we've already name checked 2, I'm going to move us into our second story, which I would argue is basically of equal importance, which is that Mario is taking over every aspect of existence, or is set to, in a way that makes his previous dominance over every facet of my life just seem like an opening skirmish.
Small.
Because aside from Super Nintendo World, the partnership with Universal is resulting in a new feature, an animated Mario Brothers movie, which we hope corrects some of the sins of the past, or is at least equally entertainingly bad. And then what I want to talk about with you guys, which is we found out today that supposedly in honor of the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers, Nintendo is getting quote, big celebration ready that will involve re-releases of most of Super Mario's 35-year back catalog sometime this year. And there's more to the story even than that, but I'm going to pause there so we can unpack just the back catalog part. Because
everybody on chat is excited about this. Like all of the comments are about this.
I can't wait.
Talking about Paper Mario. Exavirant says, "Wow, this is Paper Mario." You've got Dan Fury saying Mario typing. You've got Dark Star in the Sky talking about Super Mario Paint Remaster, all the classics. Jay Thomas, where's my Hotel Mario?
I didn't even think about Mario Teaches Typing. I would slay at that today after a lifetime of working at a cubicle. Oh my God. So even just that aspect of, I don't know if there will be blackouts, if everything will be included, but we were saying on a previous call today, like, I'm always willing to rebuy most of the Mario games, but I wonder if a time will come where I do buy certain Mario games and I never buy them again, like I own it, because I've bought some of these 10 or 12 times.
I hope they do it like the GameCube
Mario All-Stars.
Mario All-Stars, or like GameCube had a disc that you could buy that had Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and it had like a Lost Levels version on there also. Like that was kind of cool. Like, do you think they'll do something like that? Like a bundle? Yeah, will it be a bundle, or they just do it all separately? Just like dump them all out.
I think it depends, on the release cycle, because like I am scared to admit it publicly, because I'm sure Nintendo is watching. I'd buy these if they sold them individually, unfortunately. But I could see them kind of splitting it up depending on how they see the importance. Like they did remaster Twilight Princess and Wind Waker on the Zelda side for Wii U and put those out individually. And they haven't really been in the business of remastering 3D Mario games yet. So it really depends on what they're going to do. Part of the reports that we've seen is that they essentially would take Super Mario 3D World, which is a really underrated one from the Wii U, and serve a like deluxe version of it. So my guess is that would be on its own, sort of to New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which came out on Switch, I believe, at the beginning of last year. Probably expecting something similar there. But I wouldn't be shocked if these, like we were talking earlier, depending on how much work they put into them on a remaster versus remake level, when you get into the nitty gritty of how much they're actually updating, I could see them bundling at least a few of them together.
Just the concept of a remastered Mario 64, it feels like it's something that had to happen, and I've been waiting my whole life for it. Especially if that could include some of the high profile, not lost levels, but they're very high profile, like fan made levels and multiple playable characters and things that have been sort of added to the legacy over the years. That might be too much to hope for, but I'm imagining my perfect like Mario 64.
Personally, I'm feeling this Mario Sunshine that we're showing a clip of here.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come back to that one. That one to me is really underrated.
Is it underrated? Okay.
Who says that's their favorite besides me?
Yeah.
I love Delfino Plaza. Like that setting and everything, I would love to go back to it.
It's a continuous like blank spot for me. I literally skipped it because when it came out, it got panned by my group at the time. Is it okay? I'll play it. I got to play it.
It sounds like it's not really
different. Play it now. You're gonna wait for the remaster.
I'll probably play it now because all this Mario talk, like the idea that there is a major Mario title I haven't played through, and my new pals are saying it's not bad, it's good. I'll play.
Did you play Galaxy 1 and 2?
1, not 2, but I did like.
You should play 2.
Yeah, okay. 2 like does everything that 1 does, just a little bit better. It's so good.
It's interesting. That's such a pattern with gaming, where I understand why, but it's always like, that's why I'm so excited for Horizon Zero Dawn, because you play a first installment in a franchise and you go, wow, number 2 is going to be like phenomenal. It tends to go that way.
Well, not always.
That was the Assassin's Creed thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually you're right.
Assassin's Creed was like that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The jump from 1 to 2 was so huge. But I am all in favor of all these being remastered. I love the idea, but I love the idea that Nintendo basically was like, how do we compete with the PS5 and Series X being launched? Oh, I know. Just all the Mario. Just every Mario we can think of. Just put it all out there. Yeah.
Well, here's a really interesting point in chat. Mo Tiernan says, could this be why they're taking the Mario creation off Dreams?
Oh.
Because there's tons of Mario stuff on there, and they seem to be like kind of
Mario's the drug. And they're like, no, you have to come to us for the Mario. You cannot go there for the Mario.
Yeah, you can't be getting that discount Mario.
Yeah.
Fake Mario shit.
I'm sure they
have Mario at home.
I wouldn't be surprised if they stepped up copyright claims in preparation for this. That makes total sense.
So I think it might be a little more coincidental, if only because historically been pretty litigious with their stuff. I actually was having a conversation about this earlier today. They pretty much are like, they don't want to give an inch because then why not give a mile? Like, they are very much like, our IP is our IP and we are going to protect that as much as we as a business are legally allowed to do.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I would never, like, I didn't grow up playing any of the like mainline Super Mario games. I played all the multiplayer ones because my parents made me play with my siblings. And so single player games were not allowed in my household.
No.
But I would say, if I would like to see like a Super Mario Party like Ultimate, like every single mini game that's ever been across every Mario Party, because like every time there's a new Mario Party, I'm like, oh man, I wish, like, I missed these mini games. But like having it the Smash Bros style where they brought every single character they've ever had, not leaving anybody out. I think
they could leave out some of the bad
Mario Party number 2 is the best one. The one with the little costumes and everything.
Number 2, I'm telling you.
They've never been able to top that. Bring that back. Remaster
that
game.
Scourge188 on the site says, and I wanted to bring this up, and this seems like the right time. I'm sorry. That's not the one I want to read. Sorry, Scourge. Maybe next time. High Tech Caveman says, I want a Mario Kart collection. And I love Mario Kart.
Don't they kind of have that already? Like, you can play all the old
that's what I'm going to ask is,
maps.
Would you, if you could have all the old maps added, is there any benefit to going back in time with Mario Kart? Or is it like iterative where the best one's the newest one?
They
usually,
normally
right?
remake a bunch of the older ones. So like we've gotten the updated versions of the Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64 tracks. Like I would love them to do sort of an ultimate collection, because they often at least were like picking and choosing which ones they would remake and then bring into the next one, when it was like 7 and 8 and 8 Ultimate Deluxe. But I would love for them to do, like Josh was saying, a Mario Kart like that, and also a Mario Party, especially because Super Mario Party was kind of underwhelming. I think they have a huge like missed opportunity there. I just want the year of Mario.
Wasn't there like a 3DS Mario Party that was kind of like a greatest hits thing, or am I? Like,
oh yeah, there was, which I guess they could port. Yeah, I think it had like 100 Mario Party mini games or something like that. Yeah.
Pitzeldat says, "What about Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars remake and remaster? Do we know if that's on the list?"
Well, I'll give you the list so far.
Okay.
Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 3D World, other 3D Mario titles, and the thing I was holding off, but I'll say now, a new Paper Mario game.
Yes.
Which is the other like shoe dropping of this big Mario news. That's
definitely
very exciting.
I yell about it. And they specifically, the rumors are suggesting that it would be like the original Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door, which are hands down the best Paper Marios.
Definitely.
Super Paper Mario was pretty good, like surprisingly for what it was, but it wasn't what we wanted as a sequel to Thousand Year Door, and I would love them to go back. Of the different Mario RPG universes we've had, I think it's my favorite, and so I would absolutely love them.
I just want Geno back. Put Geno in the damn game.
Yeah. I just want Mario is Missing with ray tracing. That's what we need.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Mario is Missing, but it's like LA Noir and it's hella dark.
Yeah. You're lying, King Boo. I can tell you're lying.
Yeah, I'd play that. Just put them in a compilation. Put some of these games in a compilation, for the love of Christ. Don't try to sell me every single one of these separately. I know that that's what they're going to do, but I wish that they would put some of them together. Like, a lot of people in the comments are talking about like a Metroid Prime Trilogy collection. You know, we've heard rumors of this. Like, can we get like at least some of these games put together in a collection so we don't have to spend like $1,000 on Mario games?
I assume I could actually see them maybe doing it in pairs. I mean, yeah, they want you to spend as much money as possible. I could see them doing it in pairs though, with like Galaxy 1 and 2, because I think the bundle of those will sell better than trying to sell off 1 and 2 on their own. And same, honestly, if you bundled as different as they are, Mario 64 with Sunshine, I think like while we're all excited, Sunshine does have this overarching, like it's not quite as beloved as the others. So to bundle it with arguably one of, if not the most beloved Marios, is not the worst.
Yeah, and it makes sense from a timeline perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we all Mario'd out? I feel like, I mean, we could go Mario the whole show, but there's other stuff to discuss. So I am going to move us along, I think.
I just want that Paper Mario.
I know. I want to talk about this news so hard that it happens now, but we can't do that.
Can I tell one stupid Paper
Please,
Mario anecdote and we can move on? I went to a private high school and I had to write basically an essay on a test that we had to take to get in. And you had to write an essay and then you had to write a short fiction story. Why, I don't know. And I panicked because I had no idea that was going to be part of the test. And so I wrote a short story based on side characters from the original Paper Mario and just left out the Paper Mario part of the story. There's like the Cloud side character that he has. I wrote like a story from their point of view. I just never mentioned Mario, so they didn't know I was lifting it.
Please. Oh, I was hoping the teacher was like, you think I don't play Paper Mario, Mr. Dornbush?
Jonathan, I demand that you read an excerpt of that fan fiction on the next episode.
I'll try to find it. I'll see if I have a
segment will be, are you there, God? It's a me, Mario. Jonathan reenact this whole thing.
But anyway, moving on from the Mario.
Anyway, yeah.
Wait, one last thing.
Whoa, go.
If you could pick any character from the Mario universe to be a playable party member in the new Mario RPG, who would you pick? For me, it's Wario.
Yeah. I think a Wario would be good.
Wario makes the most sense, which is why that was it. Dry Bones is good too. I lose. I lose. I would have said those two. But I'm bad at knowing all the names of the different baddies. I really like the giant squids in Odyssey, but I don't know what they're called. Oh, T-Rex. T-Rex with a tiny hat. There you go.
T-Rex.
Oh, yeah.
I'll pick Bullet Bill.
I'll tell you, T-Rex with a tiny hat would actually be good in a Mario RPG setting because if you lose control of the hat, it
turns on you.
Sides. Yeah, until you do a hat throw. All right. There is some more remaster news we might get to. We're just lousy with remasters, but right now I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the shape and size of the Xbox Series X. Some specific details we learned about today. First and foremost, obviously people are talking about how the Series X has this sort of obelisk design, very different from our classic, what I now learned is called the pizza box design of most consoles. And they sort of went into the mechanics of why that is, which I have typed up if you want me to take it, Jonathan. But you're our newsman, so I was also going to wonder.
I'm having trouble loading the page, so if you would,
that's fine.
I can
give you the short answer. It's because it's a PC.
Exactly. It essentially uses the logic that a PC. That size and shape is to make more fan space, have more empty void space, split the microprocessors into both sides instead of being on one motherboard, all with the goal of cooling the machine down.
Jake Christoph 08 says it's a tall, windy boy.
Which I guess, yeah.
I wonder where people are going to put this console, like at their, home TV setups. Like a lot of these home TV setups are very horizontal and flat.
I got nowhere to put this thing.
Right. B-Factor says, my only concern of this is where the hell am I going to put it behind the TV? I obviously won't fit any traditional slot.
Yeah.
You know what would be tight, though?
What if takeaway?
What if it could wirelessly connect to your TV and you don't have to have it right next to it or like in your console? What if you could put it somewhere else? Like where your refrigerator goes.
On top of your fridge.
Yeah.
They're together. They
or underneath it.
Yeah. That would be dope.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I can see why it's shaped like this because they can't make a flat console that doesn't sound like a wind tunnel. The thing is so loud, and the power brick is so large for that thing.
Yeah, if my PS4 plays a game from after the year 2015, it sounds like a jet engine.
But I think it raises the more general question. It's sort of giving away the game, as you called out immediately, Jeremy. That's the design that PCs use. and consoles are beginning to blur the line between a home PC and a console. At the same time, gaming PCs are becoming cheaper. If this is too hot or dense a topic for me to just veer us into wave, what does that mean for the future of console gaming? Moving on, unrelated to that. No.
I mean, technically, it can sit on its side too. You don't have to stand it up. It probably just works better and is quiet.
True.
If you have it like that.
But I'm just wondering, do you think there's a day coming where next gen console starts to lose meaning? What does that look like for us as journalists? Our cycles will be thrown off. What will we do?
No, there's always going to be a market for a home console that just works, that you just like plug in and play, and you don't have to like mess with any like settings, and you don't have to like install anything. You don't have to like upgrade it. There are a lot of people who just want to play the game and they don't want to deal with all of the extra nonsense. For other people, that's really fun and they really like that. But those are two totally different audiences, and the audience for that console market is not going anywhere. I mean, look at how many people are buying the Switch. They don't care if that thing is like a PC. It's not even the same universe as that, and yet it's a very popular device with a very unique use case for it. And as long as
what I'm saying,
Microsoft can keep having a unique use case, you plug it into your TV and it just works, and it like simplifies everything. And you hear PlayStation, Sony's talking about their dynamic audio features. Like they do things that you're not going to be able to do, at least not without spending a lot of money with a custom
on
PC.
your rig. Sure.
So that I don't think there's a future in which that really goes away.
And of course, the Switch is a very special case because the price point is still very low. I'm talking about like the gen after next gen, where it becomes hazy which is a better investment, a PC or a console. But yeah, I think your point stands, definitely. I just think things will go away. Like there are certain barriers that existed that will fade, and I think we will see more people cross over. I'll just say, as someone who recently raised my cognitive dissonance bar to the degree where I'm willing to set up a VR headset to run Steam on Oculus Quest, which requires some doing and additional support apps and stuff. Everything seems easy now. Setup is just not anything. But I understand there are people who are like, I don't want to face this wall of having to figure out how to get it to work. I don't know. All right.
Well, and not just that, not wanting to face that, but people who can't even really conceive of what facing that is. Like the everyday consumer who has owned a PlayStation or owned an Xbox 360 or a Nintendo console. Like people have a sort of set in idea of how a console should work. So suddenly if they're like, yeah, the PlayStation 7, you just need to do these 12 things and you have these 13 options of what you want to put in for the different parts of the PS5, PS7, you suddenly start to use that mass audience. Obviously, many people have PCs, so people have adjusted, and it is understandable once you get into it. But I think for people who have just no bearing, we're going to continue to see consoles that play to them especially.
I feel like the big threshold is once you learn that if something doesn't work, you just Google, it's not working in this way, and try everything until it works. You're like, oh, I can do this. Okay.
Have you tried turning it off?
Spectre Gaming in the comment section makes a pretty good point. It's like so many of the comments are saying like, oh, figuring out a PC is not that hard. The way that these games are developed, they're developed for PC anyways, and so they're basically just making a port of their PC game 9 times out of 10, unless it's like an exclusive. But Spectre Gaming says, it's about maintaining a hard line between console and home PC because we're enthusiasts. They need a box that a soccer mom can just see and buy. Like you gotta remember, there's like moms and dads and grandparents
pick it up for Christmas,
buying this for their families. Like I didn't buy my first video game console. Like my parents gave it to me as a Christmas present when I was a tiny boy.
Oh, a good friend of mine with
I wasn't about to build a goddamn PC on my own. Sure. I could barely tie my shoes then.
Good friend of mine with a 1-year-old and 3-year-old just texted me yesterday.
I still barely tie my shoes.
Tried to got a gaming console for the kids. Got an Xbox One. That's the right one, right? Not really. But Goose Game, there's some good stuff. Yeah. Switch, man. Switch. They're out everywhere. But yeah, speaking of, this was actually an addendum to this story. And you can find more details in the piece by Jordan Serrani, now at IGN.com. But This was a detail I actually honestly fully expected to no longer be a thing, and then after it was explained, I'm like, I kind of get it. The Xbox Series X controller will still use AA batteries, which somehow, to me at least, just has the feel of old-fashioned, popping the thing off and putting batteries in. But their argument is that it's more flexible than let's discuss. But they argue that it's a more flexible lifestyle, let's say, than having to plug in your charger. And of course, AA batteries in your controller last much longer than the charge on, like, let's say, a DualShock that you have to recharge. But it just seems more futuristic to not buy batteries to me.
Well, I feel like there's.
Oh, good. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I had this moment like a month or two ago. Oh, I need a couple batteries. Where do I get those? Why don't I have any? Because there used to be such a time in my life where everything was 2 or 3 AA, AAA batteries that I needed to use. And it's become such a superfluous element in my life because everything is just plug it in and charge it. I mean, I do think an unspoken bit of this is because that's how the current Xbox controllers that are more readily available than the Elite ones work. So, compatibility wise, it makes sense on a manufacturing level, and it's probably cheaper.
Well, so does that imply that the new controller will be largely unaltered, or like it will fit a lot of the same molds as the current controller?
We've gotten a look at the controller, and it is largely similar because, a lot of people do love the Xbox One controller, which itself was an evolution from the 360 controller that a lot of people love. So I think they're taking a, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of approach, and to continue sort of the cross compatibility of generations, it just makes sense to continue in that mold and let people use what they have already.
Yeah. On the consumer alert side, commenter XXZ2121 says Xbox Elite Series 2 has an internal battery pack with 40 hours of battery life before needing a recharge. That is pretty good if you can afford the investment.
It's way better than the DualShock 4's charge time of 20 minutes. Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah. It seems to degrade over time as well.
I think it's really cool. I don't see anything wrong with having options. I just think it's kind of horseshit that they sell the controller for the same amount of money as a DualShock controller, and it doesn't come with that as a built-in feature, right? Like I would buy this line of logic if you could unplug the chargeable battery and put the batteries in, but that's not how it works. Like they're going to sell it to you with nothing, and then you have to buy an extra like chargeable battery, right? Like they're not selling it with a chargeable battery included, correct?
No, as far as we know, that's not the intention. Yeah.
The verbiage makes it feel like it's going to be an extra. Yeah.
I don't like how we keep getting nickel and dimed with all this stuff. And they back in the day, consoles used to come with a pack-in game and with 2 controllers. Now you get 1 controller. That controller goes dead. Half the time when my controller goes dead, I look around for the cord. I finally find it, and it's this long. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with this tiny little cord?
Yeah.
So being able to put batteries in it to me is great. For some reason I have batteries laying around all over the place, probably because I have little kids. And we have
they just bring them in from outside. Yeah,
they just appear. A little elf
Yeah.
comes and hides them in your drawers everywhere where you look. So it's cool. It's cool having both.
Sure.
But I just wish that they packed it in with the option to have both.
Oh yeah.
And then as far as the DualShock goes, it's kind of annoying, how the battery just seems to last less and less and less and less.
Yeah.
And so over the course of one night of gaming, you're like, I gotta swap my controllers, plug this one in, and use the other one.
That's what. Yeah, I just have 2 on a constant cycle because if I get any fair bit of time, you're gonna kill one definitely. Although if you look online, you can find I have classic Genesis controllers with a 10-foot cable. This is a known problem for retro gamers, so you can find that stuff online. All right, let's move on, shall we? I have much less to say about this because I haven't had a chance to catch the show yet. I do like Joe Hill quite a bit, but we're going to talk about Lock and Key because it was just renewed for season 2. The news came out today, which is, of course, comes amidst most shows and films either being put on hiatus or not getting picked up or saying we don't know what's going to happen. So it's a breath of fresh air / good news, especially if you like season 1. People who have seen Lock and Key, speak to this. You heard about this? You seen this? Season 2 coming soon.
I just recently watched season 1. Have you guys watched it yet?
No.
I did when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. I've read all the books too, and I don't know. Like the books I loved. I loved the books. The show I liked. I wouldn't say that I loved it. It felt a little bit like CW. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It seemed, I haven't read the book, so I don't know the tone of them, but from other, they seem darker or a bit more mature. Whereas the show definitely felt more positioned as a, like, if not family friendly, like the whole family could watch this.
It's like, are you afraid of the dark level?
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's even a notch below what I expected. Yeah, the general consensus I saw repeatedly, I will sum up with Bambucha 30's comment. I haven't quite finished it yet, but compared to the comics, it was a little too kid-friendly. The comics were nice because of how dark it was. So people who are hardcore into the comics seem to think they sort of PG-13'd out on it. Is the consensus?
Feels a little bit.
Yeah, but if you can
but
separate yourself from that, if you can separate yourself from that, or if you hadn't read the books, I actually think it's pretty fun to watch. It's definitely unique. There's not really anything else like it except for maybe like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is actually like way darker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was surprising to me because that show definitely, Sabrina was supposed to be on the CW and then Netflix bought it. So I feel like they were like, oh, we're not on the CW anymore. Let's go crazy. Whereas this feels like it could have been bought from the CW and they didn't change anything. But yeah, someone who never read the comics, I enjoyed it enough that I'm excited for a second season.
For people who are not in the know, is it anything like Umbrella Academy? Is it more superhero? Jason?
It's not superhero adjacent at all in any way.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
It's they describe it as Lovecraftian horror, you know.
So Hellboy adjacent, maybe?
Yeah, it's more maybe, you know, but again, like there's no superheroes here. There are like powers and abilities, but they're largely they're largely tied into these keys. And basically everybody's like trying to like find and like collect and control these keys. There's like I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but there's basically like an antagonist that's trying to collect them and open up this Omega door, which leads to we don't know what. I mean, we learn this later on in the show, but that's sort of the mystery. Like, who is this character? Why are they trying to get the keys? Like, where do the keys come from? There's so many cool little mysteries that, you know, for like a fun time waster show, it's really fun to kind of follow along with it, even if it is a little CW.
The mythology really pulled me along. I thought they did a pretty good job. So, like, it's a sort of Netflix standard, but they had pretty good cliffhangers that made me go like, okay, I need to watch the next episode because I just want to know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Dan Fury makes a really good like sort of connection here. He says it's like Chronicles of Narnia, and I think that's pretty
pretty fair.
Yeah, cool. The level of like fantasy and like danger that posed, you know, kind of is a little bit.
The Christian allegories, very thickly layered.
Not so much, no. more like ancient Sumerian theology, but.
Well, so the way you're describing it, it doesn't sound very like dark to me. Where does all this like darkness come from?
I mean, it is. It's definitely a horror series.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that compared to some of the other stuff that's out there right now, it's just like it's a little bit more family friendly in its presentation. It kind of like it might remind you of like Goonies, you know, style.
That ain't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Not everything has to be like hella edgy, you know.
The darkness of it is also what happened before the events of the show. So a lot of like the really dark stuff is things you don't fully see or things that get revealed to you in pieces, so that it can kind of be counterbalanced a bit.
Well, the entire or vast majority of the creative team from season 1 is on board for season 2. So if you like season 1. Get excited. I love their like press quote. The announcement provides no details on what to expect from season 2, aside from mentioning that the stakes get higher.
Oh, you don't say.
Whoa.
I'd love to see a show where they're like, for season 2, we're just going to bring it down a notch, chill out.
It's just going to be 7 bottle episodes.
Yeah. And PRock7 says on the site, FYI, if you have a Comixology account, you can read the graphic novels. The last one that ends the series is not free, but everything leading up to the finale is free.
That's fair. Yeah,
so they'll probably burn you on that. If you're that invested, buy the last issue. Come on.
Yeah.
How
Great.
many issues are there? How long is it?
Oh man, there's quite a few books. I can't remember exactly, but it's quite a few. And then there's like a couple little spin-offs too.
Yeah.
That are just like fun little extras. Can somebody look it up?
Quick Google says
Six.
there's
6
6 per miniseries, 7 in Omega plus
6.
3 one-shots.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's enough to keep you busy for a while.
There's a fair bit.
Yeah, for another month in quarantine here.
Yeah. It's not like we're lacking for time to kill at the moment.
Yeah.
Dude, what do you guys think about a game based on this? What would that be like?
It sounds like it would make a decent Telltale game.
I would want it to be more like
From what I'm
Maniac
hearing.
Mansion. Did you guys ever play that back in the day?
Oh, of course, Day of the Tentacles. One of
Yeah.
my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, because you'd want the powers of the keys to be a little more involved. Like
You lost me.
it definitely would fit the like talking. Yeah, I mean, without spoiling it, but like you'd
Sure.
want the powers of the keys to be more heavily featured. So
Yeah, maybe like a little action RPG or something.
yeah,
Like that Harry Potter game that they're working on.
I hope we just slowly
What?
build Kingdom Hearts right now. So he's got a key. He slashes
Oh, I'll
with the
get
key.
that. Yeah.
Mickey Mouse is in it. Yeah. And also the plot makes actually less sense, weirdly.
hey,
That's a whole convo, because I also think the plot of Kingdom Hearts makes no sense, but I know Dornbush would not
Hey.
necessarily abide.
some of it makes sense.
Hey, yeah, parts
Hey,
of it.
now. Don't be generalizing here.
Oh,
Some.
yeah? Okay, well, not to remakes, but back to remasters and things of the re-ilk. Square Enix is, of course, back in the news as they are regularly because of FF7 Remake. This time, warning that they cannot control the release date per se, or your receive date, which is, I would argue, not as big of news as the fact that the street date's already been broken on the game. So there are people playing the game, the full game, and uploading footage and screen caps and whatnot currently. But if you are ordering the physical version for delivery, they're saying we don't anticipate any problem sending it out when we said we would, but we cannot guarantee when you will receive it.
And apparently, you could even get it sooner.
Oh, really? Is that?
Well, no, I just mean with the street date being broken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that an insider term? This is the first time I have.
This is
What,
the first
street
time
date?
I've ever
Street
heard
date?
this street.
Yeah.
Street date.
Oh,
So it's like how we would have an embargo, like stores are not supposed to sell games before like
yeah.
midnight, the launch night. But like, how can you really fault like a mom and pop store, for example, for just being like, you know what, I got to pay my rent, man.
Yeah.
So you have your game whenever you want. I don't care. Like, just I need the cash.
Yeah, you got boxes in the back. Everything's shut down. And you
Things
want to
are
buy
just
Final
really,
Fantasy VII?
really different
Yeah.
now. I think this is going to happen with a ton of games in this period, right? Like the supply chains are all mixed up, right? Like we can barely get ventilators and masks and stuff, let alone games shipped
Mhm.
in. All of this stuff is available digitally, and so there's nothing stopping you from getting the game like day and date. Like you can still get it. It's just like the physical copies are going to be a little iffy. Like we talked about this on an earlier episode. Like I personally received Animal Crossing like a day or two late, and Doom like 5 days late, but that's fine. I get it. I understand. Like I got like plenty of other stuff to occupy my time, other games and everything. This is happening to everybody. You just gotta take it with a grain of salt. If you can get the game early, cool. Like maybe some of these publishers could even like release some of these games earlier if they're finished on time, the way that some studios are doing with their movies and their TV shows. You think you might see that happen?
I don't know if we'll
think-
see it, but it would generate goodwill. Go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say I would love to see it. Like, don't get me wrong, I wish Nintendo had released Animal Crossing a few days earlier than they had.
Mhm.
But I think we likely won't see it, at least on the digital side. Like street dates might be broken more often depending on when things get shipped. But the thing is, like most of these studios, especially like just how modern gaming is, are making a day one patch. And usually that does come out the day of, if not the day before. So I don't think the game companies will want to release games until those day one patches are ready. If they're ready beforehand, great. Please put those games out earlier. I'm sure no one would complain, but I think they're going to never release something earlier than when that's ready, because that's the version of the game they want people to buy.
David Plitcher 4 says release the Snyder Cut. With that, I also
It's
should
actually included in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
You have, if you
It's
beat
an
it,
unlockable mini boss.
Yeah.
If you beat it in a certain amount of time with no hits, then yeah. But I should also mention in related news, the Resident Evil 3 team, i.e. Capcom, has said that it could also see a delay in Europe. But again, they're talking about physical media. And as we've covered a few times recently on the site, physical media is becoming more and more like the purview of the, let's say, sentimental collector, bit more than a necessity to like get games in people's hands. Yeah.
I kind of relate it to how people still collect, physical music.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I can totally understand why people would rather have the disc and just want it in their hands, especially for like these remakes,
Yeah.
Well, and especially for these two, I think there's a lot of people wanting the collector's editions as well. Like the Final Fantasy VII Remake one comes with a pretty hefty statue that I'm sure people would, if they put the money down for it, kind of want when they were expecting it. So I can understand the frustration from consumers.
Do you think a day will come where either a Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft console ships with no insert slot, like no cartridge port or disc?
That's already happening. There's going to be versions of the new console
have nothing
that are online only.
Oh, okay.
Well, we got the Xbox One SAD edition. They did release the Xbox One S all digital edition.
One S all digital. One SAD.
SAD. But I think they will always offer, so long as it's still prevalent to buy physical stuff, especially when high-speed internet is not readily available everywhere where these games are being played. I think we will always see options to be able to have disc or cartridge or whatever it is.
Hang in there, GameStop. Rounding out the show today, I want to talk about Star Wars Jedi Academy. And this is our fun human interest light story to sort of just end with.
Is it fun? It depends on who you ask, I guess.
Well, I think in the description for the video, I was like, then we'll end with a story that will either tickle or infuriate you based on how seriously you take these kinds of things. I was wondering, I want to go to Josh first. Have we posted on social about this yet? And if so, how are people responding? Are they more angry or
We have not
amused?
posted about this.
Okay, so we don't have data on that yet.
It's a little niche, but we might look into it depending on how popular the story is.
Well, I'll sum it up and then I'll leave it to the floor, but I'll sum it up with a comment from the site. Arnwin says, open console multiplayer matches, which allowed PC fans who have been playing since the game originally launched back in 2003 to wreak havoc among console players. But crossplay is supposed to be so awesome. Yeah, so what happened here is the thing we always want. Multi-platform crossplay unintentionally happened in the case of Jedi Academy. And all the console players are upset because the PC players are just wrecking shop, apparently.
Yeah, I think the original headline for this was Star Wars Jedi Academy console babies invaded and slaughtered by veteran PC gamers who felt the world needed just a little bit more grief this week. Like they had to go a little bit out of their way to do this. Like they had to go look up these people's IPs and then match the to their servers or something. Like
that's an important point. It wasn't that the lobby or matching system malfunctioned.
Yeah,
people found out through an exploit that they could go harass other players, so they did. Welcome to the world.
So it's basically like some kid playing on Switch, this game for the first time. And just getting absolutely destroyed by somebody who's had this game for how long?
17 years, I think.
17 years. Yeah. So really, what needs to happen is that Switch player just needs to get good.
Yeah.
Yes, we've seen that comment as well. Those are the basically. And then, of course, PC people claiming that this means the PC is a superior device, whereas I would argue it just means that a mouse works differently than a sticky stick.
So it's been out for 17 years.
Yeah. Although I don't know, does Jedi Academy have a super huge community? I don't know that there's anyone who's been grinding at Jedi Academy for 17 years. I hope not. Shout out to you.
I hope people have played other games in between that time.
There's always a community.
You guys know lots of other games have come out, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But Star Wars ones as well.
At least a couple.
There's always a community for really obscure games, I think. And I think that's kind of the beauty of video games, that even if it's so forgotten and we were like, wait, what's Jedi Academy? It's like, oh, there's still a thriving community there that's still crushing noobs, like it's great.
Like you do. But I think it also raises the question, does cross-platform play between PC and console specifically lend itself to competitive games, or does that skew the results in a way that will always feel frustrating?
Oh, it's going to be
on either side.
Yeah.
It should be an opt-in situation. I mean, the best case is to give people the choice if they want to be playing with those people, like people on different platforms. Let them choose which platform. Obviously, that takes more engineering, but I am totally fine playing against someone on PC while playing Fortnite and accepting that they're probably going to destroy me. Or I can play against people just on the same console and probably also get destroyed. But at least I knew it was probably just.
It kind of gives you an excuse when you fail.
Exactly.
Like, they were probably on PC. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a mouse and keyboard. They're more accurate. Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you, has anyone seen, I hope to see more of these, but have any of you ever stumbled across online yet a video of someone like on console, like gameplay footage, just owning a bunch of people who are verified on PC? Like, I want to see the video of the people turning the tables.
Yeah, it's not at all inconceivable.
Yeah.
Like it does happen. There's people of different skill levels that are used to, everything.
Yeah.
Some professional esports are even played on controllers sometimes.
Yeah.
People play Dark Souls on bananas. So anything.
That's what I want more novelty videos like that.
Yeah.
Right? So it just depends on the person. It depends on the game. I just think it's funny that like developers always act like crossplay is like a really hard thing to pull off, and then you see something like this, and it's like, oh, I just had
to type this number in. Yeah,
people could just make it happen accidentally.
Well, that'll about wrap it up for today, although I should mention the things we didn't get to in case you want to head over to IGN.com and get information on those things if they matter to you. The original Nier is also getting a remaster. We didn't have time to dig into that. And last but not least, HQ Trivia is back. All right.
What the hell is that about?
We don't have time, my friend.
Oh, man.
And Plague Inc. has released a free reverse mode where it's the same gameplay mechanics, but you fight a virus instead of spreading it. Thought it would be a little more fun that way in the current times, and I think that's accurate. Hey, let's go around the horn and give our Twitter information in case someone took a shine to us. Jeremy?
Oh, hi, I'm your pal Jeremy. Find me at Danger Sharks with a Z, because I couldn't get Danger Shark without a Z, so there's a Z in it.
Silence. I'm Michael Swaim. I'm at Swaim_corpse.
Did you go to me?
I don't know.
I thought
everything cut out.
We fumbled this part. But Jonathan, please, where can the people find you?
At JM Dornbush on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm at DU Josh on Twitter.
Wonderful. And now I've been instructed to say this. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Very good.
So why not stay home and watch a movie with IGN on Watch From Home Theater this Wednesday, April 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be live streaming, you guessed it, Night of the Living Dead, the classic black and white zombie movie, along with The Walking Dead's executive producer, Greg Nicotero. So this is
is that for real?
That's really cool. Good get, right?
So
this is a new series that our entertainment team is doing where they live stream. They did Invisible Man recently. This time they're doing Night of the Living Dead, and they always have someone freaking awesome and associated to ride along. So this time it's Greg Nicotero. You can watch Night of the Living Dead with us, not us, but our IGN compatriots at IGN.com, twitch.tv/IGN, mixer.com/IGN, or youtube.com/Cinefix. Check out the link in this video description if you just want to click on something and not remember things I said.
Yeah, they can show that whole movie too, because isn't that like public domain or something?
Last time they could only show bits of public domain stuff, so we can do the whole movie.
That's awesome.
That's
cool.
The people.
I'm gonna check that out.
I'm gonna watch that. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. This has been today's edition of IGN News Live. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
See you later.